My name is Nicholas, and I live aboard a 102-year-old wooden vessel, Argonaut II. And this summer, I journeyed through the remote coastline of British Columbia to retrace the rich history that Argonaut has as a famous mission boat. This week is going to be a fun episode because we pick up where we left off, where I was taking the boat south with two friends, Andrew and Morgan, and I'm spending the last couple of days in the Broughton Archipelago before dropping Andrew off and continuing southbound. The highlights of this video include the best wildlife sightings that we've seen the entire trip so far. We are underway to Booker Lagoon. Booker Lagoon is accessed through a very narrow inlet, can create another rapid up to 7 knots. It's one of those timings where you have to get through at exactly slack tide, and as we're coming down, I thought it was a cool opportunity to throw the drone up. A whale just pops up right next to us. So we entered Booker Lagoon, which is quite an expansive lagoon that is infrequently visited because of the narrows that you have to cross to get through. We set anchor and went for a quick swim, and then while Morgan had to take some calls for work, Andrew and I threw the crab pots in and went to have a quick happy hour while we waited to see if we had any success. Pretty heavy? Noticeably heavy.
Very heavy.
Uh-oh.
Very, very heavy.
Uh-oh.
We have a bucket.
What do we have here?
Uh-oh.
What you got? Oh,
no fish head.
No fish head. All right. Oh well. No luck on the crab pots this time, but next we went back to pick up Morgan and took the dinghy out through the rapids in search of a perfect place to enjoy a gin and tonic. Doing 6. Woo! Here.
How do you do it?
Excuse you. Here just to capture a really cool moment. This morning drinking coffee, we had some bear visitors come down to the shoreline and they were turning over rocks and looking for different things to eat. Unfortunately, we had to get going because we had to hit a set of rapids at 8:30 coming out of Booker Lagoon. We should be heading down to Octopus Islands later this afternoon. Beautiful low tide. I think the Broughtons are my favorite part of the BC coastline. This is just beautiful. Securite, 73-foot motor vessel passing eastbound out of Booker Lagoon. All concerned vessels, please advise channels 16. After leaving Booker Lagoon, we make our way across Queen Charlotte Strait to the Pierce Islands, where we take advantage of the nice warm weather to get some more varnishing done.
We're sanding.
Do you love sanding?
I love sanding so much. Varnishing's my favorite.
Yeah.
How you doing, my man?
Doing great.
What you doing?
Wood in the house.
Wood in the house. Today we have a nice, beautiful, sunny day, and we have the crew earning their keep by sanding, scraping, and wooding the house in prep for the boat show. After tomorrow, when we drop Andrew off, we're heading south for the next week or so to the Victoria Boat Show, and my goal is to have nobody comment how I need to fix the varnish on the house. Here you can see the discoloration and the damage done by the moisture and sun over the years where the varnish has failed. And so particularly on the starboard side, this dark area here will be able to wash out, hopefully get it looking as close to normal as possible. Lunch break.
Lunch break.
Gotta feed the crew.
Wow.
Getting there. Those of course were meatball subs made from homemade meatballs from a previous pasta night. And then that evening we celebrated Andrew's last night by making lemon bourbon wine floats. Early morning start to go drop Andrew off, and got a lot of seaweed on the anchor this morning. What you got for us?
Wow, a little bit of steak and eggs.
That's great. Uh-oh. Another early morning, we're underway to Port McNeil to drop off Andrew.
Oh,
It's been a really great week. We did a lot of fishing, hiking, swimming.
A lot of salmon.
A lot of salmon. A lot of nice dinners.
Yeah.
So we're gonna miss this guy.
I'm gonna miss Argonaut.
He'll be back.
Yep.
Yep.
We'll be back.
And we had a few humpbacks say their goodbyes along the way. All right, we're back in Port McNeil. There's the boat. Still has the tape on the windows, which is a little tacky, but if you're a wooden boat owner, you know exactly what that feeling is. And it's just a constant reminder or incentive to finish your varnishing. We just dropped off Andrew, and I'm here for some quick laundry, reprovisioning, and we'll be off on our way. We have about a week to get to Vancouver, where I'll be picking up my parents and then heading to the boat shows. Competing with my favorite wildlife spottings is Dahl Porpoise, which are playful little guys that come up to the boat and just ride along the bow wave. So they'll sit with us here for like 20 minutes, half hour, just hanging out on these bow waves here. The pressure of the bow wave is kind of like gliding downhill for them. Kind of fun to be out here, misty, and a bunch of porpoise all around us. So I'm 11 hours and 72 miles into my rundown Johnstone Straight. I dropped off Andrew earlier this morning, so my first 2 hours were spent going up to Port McNeil, and the following 2 backtracking what I had just done. But looks like I will be able to make it all the way to Turn Island in the next hour or so, which will be about a half hour before sunset. It has been a brutal slog, raining the entire time and fog the entire time, going through all kinds of minefields of logs and debris because we just had a spring tide with a full moon a couple days ago, and so there's a lot of high water debris floating around. After a long day, we made it all the way to Turn Island, where the following morning we attempted to get through the upper and lower rapids of the Okisola Channel in order to make our way to the Octopus Islands as part of the Discovery Islands group. Right now going through some major turbulence here. Just spinning our boat around, it's wild. Look at this whirlpool. Wow, look at that. So this morning we're heading into the Octopus Islands and actually missed the time window to get through the upper rapids. We were able to get through / around the lower rapids and duck into Olsen Bay, where we hung out for the entirety of the ebb. Now just getting underway to try and time the upper rapid. Was able to get a little bit of work done and attempted a haircut, which is unfinished and needs a little bit more work. So right now we're only doing about 2.8 knots. We are about 10 minutes early on the Narrows. When you're going against the current, waiting for the turn for a fair current, it's better to go a few minutes early. You can always back down It looks a lot better than it did when we came into Olsen Bay. To my right or starboard is the Octopus Islands. How you're supposed to enter is through this little channel through the north, but the charts right now as we enter in low tide are reading some areas as shallow as 7 feet, and Argonaut draw is 7.5 feet, so prudent seamanship says don't test that out. So instead, there's like a rock minefield on the southern side that, because it's slack right now, I think we're gonna attempt navigating very slowly on some deeper water areas to see if I can get through to Wyatt Bay. And then exiting, we'll try to hit a high tide mark to go through that northern channel. Looking forward to getting off the boat, which I haven't in a couple of days, to do some hiking and trail running. Sneaking right in.
Definitely over there.
One great thing about a shallow anchorage is you can work on your 30, 60, and 90 foot anchor chain markings. Haven't had only 90 feet of chain out in quite some time with all the deep anchorages that we have up in the Broughtons. So as the next step, we are going to try and scrub out all the dark stains on the teak using this oxalic acid crystal. Basically, we're just mixing this with hot water, and what it does is act kind of like a bleach to pull out some of the dark tannins in the damaged wood where water has gotten in underneath the varnish. You can see the traces of where the varnish actually failed and peeled off at the lower part of the sill here. This dark area is what we're trying to remove. After a productive afternoon, Morgan and I went ashore to hike out to Newton Lake, which is a beautiful, warm, freshwater lake to take a dip, get out and move our legs. And then on the way back, we ended up doing some foraging for mushrooms to include in our next pasta dinner.
I have some fresh chanterelles that we found in these beautiful woods.
The next day, we made another long trek, exiting south through Surge Narrows and making our way through Hoskin Channel down to Marina Island on the southwest corner of Cortez Island, where we watched an incredible sunset. After a group effort, we wooded the top half of the house. The bottom half is in better condition, and that's either going to be a repair job or a wooding project at a future date. It's too much to take on in one go. This is the exciting part of the first few coats of sealant. Drinking coffee and watching the anchor chain come up. We put about 350 feet out last night, so there's quite some time to haul it all back in. Up early, although it's not as early as it looks. We head south. The sun doesn't like to get up as early. It's gonna put in a long day. We've been flying down from the Broughtons, quick pass through the straits. Had a couple slow days to get some varnishing for the boat show. And today we're gonna do a big slog most of the way down to Vancouver. Once I'm in Vancouver, I plan to pick up my parents, meet some friends, and then also I'm going to meet up with the engineer on this boat from 1957, who I passed in Dent Rapids at the first part of my trip. Good coffee makes an early morning great. It was another long day as we continued our mad dash south to Vancouver, but we had an extra day and stopped in Smuggler Cove, which was about 2/3 of the way back to Vancouver. Back to the land of well-trodden trails and provincial parks, and Smuggler's Cove is a really good one. I stopped here on the way up and didn't realize how great the trail system was. Wood bridges over swamps. Tough to stay in shape when you're up north and there's no trail systems, but here you can at least get a run in every day, so feeling good, getting in ship shape for the boat show. It's another 4 a.m. start. I'm here in Smuggler's Cove and trying to beat a weather window. Just pulled off the stern tie. There are all of our neighbors' boats. It's low tide, and there are some pretty sketchy rocks at the entrance of the cove, so it's going to be a pitch black navigation out. Might actually give me the first legitimate excuse to really use the spotlight right up here, so just go slow, try not to hit anything, and headed down to Vancouver to the Maritime Museum down there. We are going to show off our boat to the staff and visitors for a couple days of the early morning day of boating. It's fun. There's one rock that we're looking for. About an hour after sunrise, a pair of humpbacks crossed my bow, and so I threw the boat in neutral to wait for them to be safely to my stern. And then this happened.
Oh my god. Wow. Whoa, there's 2 of them. Wow, right there. Holy smokes. Oh, look at him coming up right here. Wow. Oh my gosh. Holy smokes. Oh my god, look how big. I had no idea. Wow. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. I'm just hanging out. Beautiful. So huge. Oh my god. Another morning of coffee and whales off the back deck. Do you see him back there? So we're a few hours in this morning, and anytime you see a whale, you're supposed to slow down and usually throw the boat. There they are. I usually throw the boat in neutral and wait till they're pretty distance away off of my stern before I continue, and these guys have been just hanging around the boat. So we're sitting here in neutral, floating around, and check out what happened. Absolutely magical. And it's been, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes or so, and they're just hanging out. So we're just hanging out watching them. Oh my god! Where's the other one? Oh my gosh! Look at that! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, we get their mist! Whale mucus! Went in my mouth too. Wow, look at that. Beautiful. It's a Gardner engine. Amazing. Wow. Wow. Right underneath us. Look at this one right under there. Look. Oh. Look at. Beautiful. Hello, fella. Look at the bubbles. Whoa. Oh my god. Wonderful. Awesome. There they go. So we're about an hour and a half northwest of Vancouver, just south of Bowman Island. After a wonderful experience with the humpbacks this morning, we ran into kind of two groups of orca whales, and they are swimming alongside another pair of humpbacks, which I personally have never seen before. So it's been a pretty fun morning of wildlife. And the ferry just roared past us. I hope they see the whales. Just had a 7-hour cruise down from Smuggler's Cove to Vancouver. I am here at the Vancouver Maritime Museum, and they were so kind to allow us to tie up for a couple days. This afternoon I am meeting with a man that I met going through Dent Rapids on my way north this summer, who actually hailed me on the radio and said he was the engineer on Argonaut in 1957. So that is a special treat that I'm looking forward to, reliving the boat through his eyes, and I have a ton of questions to ask him about how he remembers the boat and his time spent aboard. At that time it was Thomas Crosby 4. We're tied up at the public docks here next to all these other beautiful old wooden boats. Argonaut's looking good. Still have the tape on the windows for the varnish job.
While staying in Heritage Harbor at the Maritime Museum, we got a really cool tour by the director of the museum, as well as a very special treat meeting two individuals who actually worked aboard Argonaut II back when it was Thomas Crosby 4 in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Next week, I'm going to share with you a magical experience for me where both Phil Little, the former engineer of Argonaut back when it was called Thomas Crosby 4, as well as Bob Burrows and his wife Joan, who lived in Ocean Falls and served as the minister aboard the boat from 1960 to 1962. As many of you know, I'm on a mission to try and tell the story of Argonaut II, as well as invest in a major restoration project to keep her going for another 100 years. If you'd like to become part of the community supporting this project, please take a look at the links in my description, where you can become a Patreon or find other ways to contribute to supporting this ongoing project together. Thank you, and I'll see you next week.